Mortal Kombat 3 on the Super Nintendo was one of those rare home ports that actually felt like the arcade game. You gotta remember, man, back in the 90s bringing a fighting game home usually meant sacrificing at least something. Maybe the graphics took a hit, maybe the gameplay slowed down a little, or maybe violence got absolutely Nintendo'd into non-existence. But Mortal Kombat 3? Well, some fucking how this game managed to pull off a damn near perfect translation without feeling like a hollow shell of the real damn thing. First off, the visuals. For a 16-bit console, this game looked shockingly close to the arcade version. The character sprites were big, detailed, and still had that gritty Mortal Kombat aesthetic. Yeah, the colors were a little bit washed out compared to the arcade, and some animations weren't exactly the same. But if you were a kid in 1995, this was basically having the arcade machine in your living room. And of course we gotta talk about the gameplay. Super Nintendo ports of arcade fighters were very well known for feeling stiff or absolutely shitty slow. But this one, smooth as butter. Oh my god, the inputs felt responsive, combos actually worked, and the run button made the action way more aggressive. Mortal Kombat had always been about punishing mistakes, but in Mortal Kombat 3, if you got caught slipping, you weren't just eating a fireball, you were getting juggled into oblivion. And of course, the most important part, the blood stayed in the game. After Nintendo infamously neutralized the first Mortal Kombat on the Super Nintendo, they must have learned their lesson, because Mortal Kombat 3 didn't hold back. The gore, the fatalities, the brutal sound effects, it was all there. There was something so satisfying about landing an uppercut, hearing that crunch, and watching your opponent's pixelated little body slam into the pavement. This wasn't just a port, it was a statement. Mortal Kombat finally felt at home on a Nintendo console, which is very impressive because, yeah, Sega was most of the time doing all that. There is one thing you gotta mention when you talk about Mortal Kombat 3. The sheer chaos that was its AI. If you ever booted up this game expecting a fair fight, you were in for a very rude awakening. The computer didn't just read your inputs, it shamed you for even thinking about pressing that A button. You're going for a jump kick, instant anti-air. Try a combo, the AI casually interrupts you with a counter you didn't even know existed. And don't even think about spamming projectiles unless you wanted the CPU to teleport behind you and remind you that it has always been in control. But I gotta be honest with you, that kind of brutality made the game legendary. The Super Nintendo version didn't just copy the arcade's difficulty, it brought home the arcade experience, you know? That old school, I'ma eat all your quarters difficulty, designed to make kids cry in front of strangers. Except now, instead of robbing you blind, the game is here to destroy your self-esteem for absolutely free! And don't even get me started on Motaro. This 4-leg nightmare was built specifically to make sure you never saw Shao Kahn. You couldn't throw him, most projectiles bounced off of him, and he had an infinite supply of absolute bullshit. He'd absorb your attacks, teleport punch you into next week, and then casually stomp on you into the dirt just to remind you who is boss. If you beat him, you either sold your soul or you discovered the true power of cheese tactics, also known as spamming low kicks or praying to the Mortal Kombat gods. But, and if you did make it past Motaro, you got to face Shao Kahn, the single most disrespectful boss in fighting game history. Not only did this dude mock you between rounds, but he taunted you mid-fight. Mid-fucking-fight! You'd land a hit and he'd just laugh at you, as if to say, "Aw, that was cute." And when he wasn't making fun of you, he was launching you across the screen with his shoulders charged, hammer slams, and a barrage of moves that seemed physically impossible to react to. And yet, we all fucking loved it. This game made winning feel like an absolute accomplishment. You weren't just playing Mortal Kombat, you were surviving it. And when you finally heard that "Finish him!" and had the possibility to finally hit Shao Kahn with a fatality, it felt like you had solved world hunger. Well, in the meantime, you actually didn't solve shit and you're still at square one in your whole entire life. But that's not the point, because it felt so fucking good, man. What actually feels really wrong, my friend, is that we still haven't even talked about the fucking roster of this game, man. It's about a fighting game with a roster and I haven't even mentioned it yet. And yeah, it's pretty weird. It's a pretty weird roster. Mortal Kombat 3 had some absolute bangers like Sub-Zero, now maskless for some reason. Where the fuck's your mask? I like the mask. Fuck your face, give me the mask back. Kung Lao and Kabal, but then you had the rest. No Scorpion, no Johnny Cage, no Raiden. What the hell kind of Mortal Kombat game ships without Scorpion? That's like making a Mario game with no mushrooms, a Pokemon game with no Pikachu, a Metal Gear game without a 40-minute cutscene of Snake standing in the rain contemplating his goddamn life. Instead, we got characters like Striker, whose entire gimmick was being an angry mall cop. This dude showed up to a tournament full of ninjas, demons, and robot assassins with nothing but a nightstick and some grenades. Some fucking how, he is good as hell. But then there was Kabal, who looked like he just escaped a Mad Max movie, ran faster than Sonic, and had the most hilariously broken combo strings in this entire game. Seriously, if you knew how to use Kabal, you were an absolute menace to society. I mean, we can't forget the cyborgs, Sector and Cyrex. These two were like the Terminator versions of Scorpion and Sub-Zero, but instead of a hellfire and ice, they straight up had war crimes. Homing missiles, net straps, teleport punches. Those guys were the reason your friend would slam the SNES controller down and say, yeah, okay, I think I'm done here. And that's totally fine because, well, they were pretty fucking stupid. Let's just take a moment to appreciate that Mortal Kombat 3 on the Super Nintendo was fully uncensored. No sweat replacing blood, no finishing moves that just made your opponent awkwardly fall over. This game was the real fucking deal! The fatalities in this game were so unhinged, I absolutely love them. Sector straight up incinerated you with a flamethrower. Cyrex blew the entire screen up, including himself! Liu Kang turned into a giant dragon and ate his opponent whole. Because why the fuck not? Kabal had the most disrespectful fatality in this game. He pulled off his mask, he revealed his nightmare-fueled face, and literally scared his opponents to death. You just stood there screaming before he dropped that. Now that, my friend, that's just fucking comedy. And of course, there were brutalities where you could just combo someone into a meat explosion. Like, why was this even a thing? Who the fuck programmed this? Why did we love this so much? Because it's goddamn brutal and it can't happen in real life. It theoretically could happen in real life, but that would make you end up in prison. In this video game, it doesn't. So I really like it when someone heads explode. Or when I incinerate them with a goddamn flamethrower. Or when I can blow myself up like I'm fucking So I know I already talked about how the AI in this game was straight up psychic. But let's go just a tiny little bit deeper. Mortal Kombat 3 didn't just read your inputs, it waited for you to mess up. But then humiliate you for even trying. You ever try to sweep the AI? Boom! Insta block into a full combo. Try to zone? Get ready to eat a teleport punch. You'd land one hit and the CPU would just decide that your turn was over. It's like the game had a built-in, alright, that's enough fun for you now, and just completely switch up and fuck you over. And then there was the boss ladder, which was just suffering incarnation. The second you got past the first couple of fights, the difficulty ramped up so fucking hard you'd think the game was punishing you for daring to improve. Enemies would start countering you before you even pressed the goddamn button. You tried to react, but the AI already knew what you were going to do before you even did it. This was so ahead of its goddamn time. I put the damn difficulty on easy and I still got my ass kicked. God fucking damn. Mortal Kombat 3 Ultimate though was just a little bit better because you had Scorpion who had a penguin who shed out an egg and then exploded. That's game of the year right there.